People need food. Everywhere you go, people need food. So they will definitely need you. Okay. They will need you to improve their food, to make it safer, to make it more accessible, to make it last longer, or to make it more delicious. Okay. We love food and we need food. So I think this is one thing that can never go wrong if you go in this major. Hi, my name is Josephine Christina and I'm a food scientist. Right now I'm working as an independent consultant. So I work with the food industry, startups and also individuals to improve their food, for product development. I also give trainings and seminars for food science and nutrition. Okay, so why right now I'm an independent consultant for food science? That has to go way back why I chose that as my major. So first, when I was in high school, I was wondering which major to take. Hey, I love food. I really love food, and I love chemistry. And but then I was deciding whether to take chemical engineering or food science. Well, those two are the main options for me because I really want to be in a science track. So I talked to the people around me who are in those majors. Actually, for food science, it's pretty rare. I think about 10, 15 years ago. So for that time, I think I was just asking people around. For chemical engineering, one of my really good friends had a master's in chemical engineering. And then I asked him about it and he told me that a lot of the work is kind of dangerous, like you're exposed to a lot of chemicals and it's pretty dry. So from then I was like, okay, you know what? I'll take food science since I love food. And I love chemistry, I love the science behind the food, behind the processes. So that's what made me decide to take food science. I graduated my bachelors from UC Davis, University of California, Davis, in food science with a concentration in food chemistry. That was a really fun experience. I managed to do research with a professor there, focusing on alpha-lactalbumin, surfactants, food surfactants. Afterwards, I took my master's in University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, with a concentration in food processing engineering. But the major was food science and human nutrition. I got a scholarship to go there, so it was a really wonderful experience. Wonderful colleagues, wonderful time researching. That was really fun. And then after that, I went back to Indonesia to start working in the food industry. I worked in Indofood for about 2.5 years. There, I was mostly doing product development and then process improvement. We also did a lot of research on how to improve the food, how to improve the process. We also did we learned a lot of things when I was there. So we were exposed to a lot of seminars. We went to a lot of trainings, continuing to upgrade our skills. So that was a really rewarding experience to be in the food industry. We also have long-term research with different universities. We also did market research, like food research in Indofood. And then afterwards, I always liked to teach actually. So before that, when I was in the States, I taught for like a supplemental instructor. That's like basically you taught a class on a specific subject. I taught physics, but I really love to teach. And when an opportunity comes for me to teach in I3L, that's Indonesian International Institute for Life Sciences, as a food science faculty member, I took the opportunity right away. And I think that was one of the most fun jobs I ever had and one of the most rewarding and fulfilled I've ever been. Okay, I love my students. It was really wonderful to teach food science and the different subjects. I had fun teaching them, talking to them. We also did a lot of labs. And other than that, we also did a lot of research. I also had to mentor students and then a lot of CSR activities. So that was really fun. And then, but it was also stressful. Maybe my body is too weak to handle it, but I felt sick, like really sick. This was before COVID. I was in bed for a few months. And even after that, I couldn't recover completely. I had to teach while sitting down. So my parents told me to I think it's time for you to just rest first and quit. Okay, so I did that. And after taking a rest, after recovering for a bit, I decided to try to make it on my own in a way with my past experiences. So right now I'm consulting independently. What I do is I work with individuals, I work with the food industries, I work with startups, especially on how to develop food products, product developments, ingredients improvement, process improvement. And other than that, I also give them trainings on whatever skills they need to upgrade in the area of food science, like food quality, food safety, food sensory, product development. I also hold seminars for groups like churches or schools if they want to know more about food science and also nutrition. And I really enjoy what I do now. It takes what I love from my past experiences, being in Indofood, in the food industry, and also being in I3L as a faculty combined. I get to teach and I also get to develop products. And along the way, I'm still learning a lot about food. And it's been really an exciting journey for me. Okay, so now my day-to-day as an independent consultant is pretty unique and flexible. In a way, it depends on the clients because my job is per project, right? So let's say I work with some clients, they just want to consult. So I'll meet them for a few hours to talk about their products, to answer their questions, to look at their products, to taste their products and see where what can be improved. Or clients can also ask me to develop a product. So for that case, then I'll just take the product and develop it myself. That will require more times and that usually depends on the deadlines. So sometimes I can be really busy, but sometimes it's more relaxed. And also I give trainings and seminars that also depend on how many hours the seminars is there, how many hours of training, and before that, of course, I have to prepare the materials, right? I have to research the data, research what they are asking me to teach on, to get a better, so I can teach them better by giving them booklets on all the materials, on the slides. So it really depends. It's really hard to say, but I can either work from home in the kitchen to develop products, or I can work at their place if they have a lab or if they have a kitchen or a pilot plant that I can use. Or I can also work in and borrow other people's labs. Let's say we need a more high-tech equipment, then I might need to borrow labs. So it really depends on the project. Sekarang ini saya mau kasih lihat contoh day-to-day saya. Soalnya as a food scientist, we do a lot of experiments. Yeah, a lot of it are food experiments, process improvement, product development. Itu product development biasanya tuh yang dari benar-benar nothing from scratch sampai sudah jadi ya, scale up. Atau bisa juga proses apa yang bisa diimprove, atau juga ingredients apa yang bisa diimprove, change in ingredients, atau cutting cost. Nah, ini hari ini we are going to do a very simple experiment. Kita bakal bikin yogurt ya. Jadi kalian juga bisa bikin yogurt di rumah. Ini sangat gampang dan hari ini we are going to investigate the effect of incubation time of yogurt. Okay, but when you're starting out, it'll be a little bit different. Actually, it'll be a lot of different. So last time in the food industry, in the food company, our day-to-day is more regular. It's from morning, let's say last time was 8 to 5. So 8 to 5 job. But the day-to-day itself, it has some variations to it. So we can develop products at one time, we can do research at one time, or we can go out actually and meet people, go to trainings also. But it's more regular in a way that you have your target goals, like you have your you have specific jobs to do. Okay, and usually as a food scientist, you'll be asked to develop a product or you'll be asked to improve it. And so before that, you have to research on how to do it first. You can do market research, you can go to the field, and you can also look up scientific papers online to do that. And after that, you work with your team to develop the products. So for food scientists, actually, we can work independently and we also can work in groups. Now in the food industry, there's both components to it. And also right now in my line of work, there's also both parts to it. In the food industry, when you are doing your research, of course you have to do it alone. And if you're experimenting on something, of course you're doing it alone. But the thing is, food is a very dynamic, right? We have to talk to marketing people. We have to talk to food quality people, quality assurance people. We have to talk to the technicians. We have to talk to the operators of the machines if we are, scaling up. So we really have to work in a group, and there's a lot of people to talk, a lot of people to work with. And even if you are a food scientist, you can also have the technicians to also help you do stuff. So it's really a group setting, and it's really fun too because you get to learn a lot from the people around you. Now, right now, I mostly do things alone, but then I have to meet people, right? I have to teach. Then I meet people again. My clients, I have to talk to them. So it's really good also to have good interpersonal skills where you can make people comfortable, since you need it, especially in the food. Food is not something that is what you perceive, right? It's also what other people perceive. You want them to also like the food, you want them to like the texture, you want everything that's related to the food that is approved, right? And you can't do that alone. You have to do it with like a lot of people around you. Okay, to be successful in this particular field, of course, you must learn the science behind the food. So that means education is very important, right? You need to learn the chemistry behind the food. You need to know the biological components of the ingredients, right? You have to understand the sensory qualities, and like there's very scientific things that you need to know, like how ingredients can influence one another, right? If you want to develop something like a food product, let's say an orange juice, if you don't know what is the component to add that might affect the antioxidants or might affect the vitamin C, then it's something that you cannot just, it's not something that you can just know. You actually have to learn about it either from books or from experience. So I think to be successful, you really must be willing to learn. The thing is, we can be focused in a specialized area of food. Let's say for me, it's more to savory products like snacks, sauces, meals. But there's a lot of, even in just that field, there's just so many things, right? There's even for snacks, we have potato chips, we have extruded products, we have cassava chips, and we have kerupuk. A lot of that have different chemistry, okay? And sometimes you can't just learn it from textbook, and sometimes you won't be able to know from school. So for that, you need experience. You need to read a lot. Okay, so for the time commitment for projects, it really depends. Like some projects are more straightforward and simple, and usually for that, you only need a few days to a few weeks worth. But for like really from scratch up to pilot plant trial and up to production, that will take at least 3 to 6 months. Because, well, cooking something in the kitchen, just like 1 kilogram or 1 liter, is much different if you are doing like 50 times food in the public. So yeah, I think that's a huge challenge and also pretty frustrating at first, especially if it's something that the company hasn't developed a product before. It's totally new, and then you have to work with the machines as well, and then you have to figure out all the nitty-gritty details, all the different parameters or how for it to work. And sometimes it gets frustrating when you have to just keep on repeating the steps until you get a perfect product. Well, it's not perfect, but good enough that you can produce and put it out in the market already. Let's see, the most frustrating thing about my job, to be honest, I can't remember any, because I find that I do get frustrated, of course, but I don't remember them because I think it's part of the being part of fun in it, being challenging, and every moments that's frustrating is when you look back, you kind of just like laugh at it. But if you ask me to really pick one, the funny thing is not even about science. It's more about diplomatic skills. So when I think maybe this is also for us youngsters, right? And also for those who studied outside of Indonesia, or even in Indonesia if you are used to speaking English. So my biggest frustration, one of my biggest was when I came back here from the States. First, I have to adjust to speaking bahasa Indonesia, right, to my colleagues and also my technicians. And my technicians, they are wonderful. Okay, they are like they are really experienced and they are amazing in their cooking skills. I learned a lot from them. But the thing is, I was a supervisor, so in a way, I have to oversee their work. There's a difference in how you communicate here compared to in other parts of the world, right? Let's say in the States, if someone did wrong or you want to tell someone to do something, you can just like do this, do that, or this is not enough, this is not good enough, can you please repeat it? You can do that, but over here we can't. It's not that easy. It's not in the culture to do that. So first I was having problems with that. The problem is I couldn't get a lot of things across to my subordinates, and it's just because I wasn't communicating in the right way as I should be in the culture here. But over time I learned how to do that. Most of us, including me, we don't really take note of what we are saying to the people around us. It's either take it or leave it. If you're not happy, just okay. But we cannot do that in working environment. We cannot do that in the professional settings. We have to be mindful of what we say and how we say it so that people can receive what we are trying to communicate to them. Especially if we have to pursue a goal together. If you can't get people to work with you, then no matter how good you are, you won't be able to succeed. That's what I think. And that's why I've been seeing like around. Communication and networking and basically like being kind to people, it really helps in the industry and probably in your life as well. Tips to be a successful food scientist is 1, never stop learning. Okay, even right now, I'm still learning a lot. I still read books, I still read articles, I still read food magazines. Why? Because science is always evolving. What you learn today might change tomorrow because we get new data, new observations, new research that's coming in. So we need to not stop learning, and of course, not afraid to be wrong. For us scientists, we take observations from today, based on what we see in the past, research and our experience. But in the future, we might get new experience or data that is different. So that's that. Food is really exciting. Okay? There's a lot of complexities to it, a lot of chemistry, a lot of physics, a lot that goes behind cooking food or making food. And with food science, if you are wondering whether to take food science or not, I say go for it. Okay? It's really rewarding, and people need food. Everywhere you go, people need food. So they will definitely need you. Okay? They will need you to improve their food, to make it safer, to make it more accessible, to make it last longer, or to make it more delicious. Okay? We love food and we need food. So I think this is one thing that can never go wrong if you go in this major, and people will need you. So I hope there will be more food scientists in the future, especially coming from Indonesia. Like, our country is so rich in natural resources, they are just waiting to be developed.